is Beverly Feldman, and I am now going to read you part 1 of my book. And I don't really know if I'm going to read every chapter of the book, but I think I couldn't decide where to start. I said, well, it's always good to start at the beginning. So here we go. Too much is not enough. Ibiza, 1978. So this is 40 years ago. I was 31 years old and weighed 130 pounds. I've given up all hope of ever getting married. Just too tough. Too many rotten boyfriends. I was working for a big American shoe company, Andrew Geller, and I had a week off in July. I made plans to meet one of my little fuck friends in Ibiza. I hadn't been back to Spain since I left 4 years earlier, swearing I would never return. I hated the people, the places, and the food. My dog had been killed by a hit-and-run driver. My former boss had sexually harassed me every day, even before sexual harassment had a name. I was thinking if I could sue him now in the Me Too movement, even though he died. That's not in the book. Those years in Spain had been the worst 4 years of my life, but Ibiza, well, I'd always felt Ibiza wasn't part of Spain, and in those days it was the wildest place in Europe. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It still is 40 years later. I went to Ibiza to meet Joey, who I had met a few years before in Mykonos. Joey was 21 years old, a kid from Brooklyn, who had lied to me about his age right from the beginning, telling me he was 10 years older. We had great sex, did a lot of lewds, did a lot of poppers, and today Joey is one of the biggest manufacturers of children's wear in New York, and he probably still fucks great. I never met him on that trip. It always amazed me. In Ibiza, there were just a few of the right places to go, and he never found them. One of them was Kenny Feverman, a screenwriter from New York. And I mentioned Kenny by name because although I never saw him again after that week, he is totally responsible for my story taking the direction it did. A traffic cop on the highway of my life. We went to the beach, Playa del Barça. I chose it. Kenny hated it, but we met 2 beautiful girls from Norway, and Kenny convinced us all to go to this secret beach that he knew of. We drove north across the island and eventually came to a mysterious pine forest, which ended abruptly at a cliff's edge. Below was a deserted rock cave that was quite beautiful, a dramatic natural setting. It was unusual as someone had built a long stone stairway to the sea about 100 steps down to the isolated secret part of this island. Rocks, boulders, and ocean. We were the only ones there. Kenny said some of his friends were coming to join us a little later. I was in the water with my 2 new girlfriends when we saw 2 people walking down the stairway, kind of a stairway from heaven. A boy and a girl. When they got to the beach, the girl turned out to be a man, the most beautiful man I'd ever seen. Long hair, streaked golden, to match his bronzed body. Wonderful chiseled face. Just so handsome. I turned to the girls and said, "Oh my God, look at that man. He is perfect." And at that moment, Cupid struck. An arrow went straight through my heart. I was flechaded, as they say in Spain. I fell instantly in love with the face and body of a deity. He kept to himself most of the day. I felt as I was in the company of a celebrity, completely out of my dating league. So much so that I felt friendly and comfortable. I was wearing a leopard bikini bottom, John Lennon hippie sunglasses, a strip of white sunblock on my nose, a big floppy straw hat, and my size 36C breasts. So unglamorous, it wasn't true. I could not have put together a worse outfit if I had tried, except of course for the breasts. But it was unimportant how I looked, as I knew I had no chance ever. There I was, naked on the beach, no accessories, no makeup, no clothes to hide behind, just me. Hi, my name is Beverly. What's yours? Claude. I gave him the big interview. When are you leaving the island and where are you going? He said Berlin next week. Then, having known him for only a few minutes, I told him what he should do. Forget Berlin. They would love you in New York. 4 hours later, the other girls left, and I got drunk on Spanish yerbas, a potent little island concoction. On the top of that, I smoked a joint. I crawled over and asked Mr. Perfect if he wanted some suntan lotion. I didn't wait for an answer, but sat on top of him, and he was wearing nothing except his suntan. I poured the oil down between my breasts and proceeded to give him a body massage. As I was working my way down to his penis, he stopped me and I came to my senses and thought, God, maybe he could be gay. But no, he said to me, let's go over there away from the others. We got up and we got up and he dove into the ocean. I followed and did my very best little drunken dog paddle. We swam around the corner into the next cove and ended up on a 3-foot embankment of dried seaweed. The sun was going down. It was a 20th Century Fox movie set. I was on the bottom, covered in suntan lotion, lying on a mattress of seaweed, and he was on top, taking me completely, raping my emotions, stealing my heart. We fucked our brains out. I saw paradise. And for the first time in my life, I just relaxed and enjoyed it. I wasn't thinking, is he going to call me when he gets to the city? This was a one-shot deal. He was never going to get to the city. It was unbelievable. This was the most passionate moment of my entire life. The setting sun on my face, my climax coming in with the waves, the sexual intensity, filling all my emotional shopping bags for a nanosecond of time. How are we doing so far? I want you to know it's all true. That night we had dinner. I guess that's the Euro way, sex first, dinner after. It took me 2 hours to get ready. Nowadays it takes me 3. Hair, makeup, and my high Charles Jourdan mules. I gave it my best shot. I wore a white cotton eyelet dress, ruffles and tits, and these great gold sandals. Thank you, Mr. Jourdan, wherever you are. For those that are another generation younger than me, Charles Jourdan shoes were like the Christian Louboutin of today. He picked me up on time. When I opened the door, there he was, even more gorgeous than he'd been on the beach, dressed only in his suntan. He was wearing a bronze leather motorcycle suit, skin tight, with matching bronze motorcycle. This boy knew how to coordinate. We had dinner and then went to Pasha, the inn club on the island. I had 2 Coco Locos. That's a famous Ibiza drink. Before he announced quite casually that he would like me to have his baby. Not realizing that this was one of his standard lines, I said, okay, only one problem. What? He asked. We have to get married. Okay, no problem. And that was it. Just so simple. The reality was we crossed time. We were soulmates for eternity. It has nothing to do with my hair, my makeup, or believe it or not, my outfit. We had found each other on that beach with the guidance of Kenny, a Jewish angel from New York City. My other half was coming down the staircase to find me. The intensity of our first encounter was as powerful, the chemistry so overwhelming. It was the erotic bell ringing on the door of my soul. Hello, baby, I'm back. Let's have a blast this century also. A comic crash. We survived and joined ourselves together, and for the very best part of the century, the oncoming 80s. We went to his place that night. In the morning I asked him if he was serious. He said yes. And I said, me too. Funny, huh? Me too. This was the 4th day of my 7-day vacation. We immediately started to make plans. It was impossible to get married in Spain, so we decided to go to Paris, my favorite city, and try there. I called the hotel, the chicest new hotel on the left bank, and asked if they could find me a rabbi. They knew me very well because I always stayed there, so finding a rabbi for me would be no problem. Naturally, a Jewish girl from New York needs a French rabbi when she marries a German boy from Berlin. No one applied for the job. The next idea was to get married on the local ferry that went from Ibiza to Barcelona. The captain could marry us. You see it all the time in the movies. We packed up and said goodbye to the island, and I thought, this is it. I'm finally going to get married. I was wearing a pair of wine-colored cowboy boots that I bought just for the occasion. My life dream was coming true, marriage. I was so very, very happy, and he was so fucking gorgeous. God, what more could I have asked for? On board the ship, I said to him, I don't know you that well, but it has to be you to ask the captain, not me. Of course, I would have asked in a minute, but I just figured that it was a man's job. I pushed a bit, and then he went. He came back with the news that the captain said we need to be at sea for the first 24 hours before he could marry us. This was only a 7-hour trip. That was it. Due to international regulations, my one and only chance was over. Well, I thought, let's just stay on the ferry for 2 days, going back and forth, until I become Mrs. whatever his last name was. So that's how I met my husband. And if you would like me to read more chapters, just put a little mention down on the bottom. So this is my book, and I'd like to show you my whole outfit. The dress, very interestingly, is Norma Kamali, an updated version. And there's a chapter in the book about the Norma Kamali dress I had 30 years ago. That was just a magical dress. And I always was a big fan of Norma's. And I also want to show you my shoes. Okay? Well, let me talk about my dress. First of all, it's Norma Kamali. And what's interesting, and really not realizing it, 30 years ago I had another Norma Kamali dress that was black and jersey, and it was just magical. So there's a whole chapter in my book, Too Much Is Not Enough, about my magical Norma Kamali dress that got me into a lot of trouble, good trouble. And I want you to know that, don't forget, I'm a shoe designer, so I want you to look at my shoes. They are absolutely gorgeous. They go with everything. As you can see, with a long, elegant dress, or I wear them during the day with jeans. They are completely handmade in India. I actually went to India to supervise it, and the workmanship is just incredible. They come with a rubber sole, because the most important thing for me as a woman is to have comfortable shoes. And nobody does it better than me, because I am a woman, shoe designer, designing shoes for other women. So feel free to go to my website, BeverlyFeldmanShoes.com. The shoes are there, some of the jewelry is there. The dress is not there because it's mine. And thank you for watching today, and I hope you follow me and come back for more chapters.